Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm 33, male, someone who you could say comes from a family centered around tough love. All my life, my parents were pretty hard on me and my younger siblings. I have a younger brother, 25, male, who was pressured into working for the family business. Our family owns their own printing business, and they always preached how important it is to work with the family business. Generational wealth or something like that, as they stated that the ownership of the business will always be owned by a blood relative. I can tell that my brother is miserable working in the company, and it's why I'm glad that I never went that route. My younger sister, 18 female, is a senior in high school, but she's expected to step into her role within the company after graduation and when she starts college. Instead of my sister spending the summer having fun with her friends, she'll be getting trained at the company by the vice president. Thinking of how her summer is ruined reminds me of how my parents also did well with making my high school years hell. I wasn't allowed to have friends because, according to my father, friends distract you from your path in life. Not only that, they are major distractions when it comes to trying to achieve goals and bettering yourself, stunting your professional growth with pointless hangouts. I had to start dating in secret because any girl that I would bring home back in high school, they would chase away with asking probing questions of where did her parents go to school, what are their occupations, and things like that. I loathed my parents to the point that once I walked across the stage to get my high school diploma, I rebelled and did not spend the summer getting trained. Instead, I packed up all my belongings while my parents were away for a conference, gave my siblings my new cell phone number, and I drove from Nebraska to California. That long drive was the most freedom I had ever had in my life. And once I got to California, I met some great people and started building my life. I've always had a knack for helping out the less fortunate, and I wanted to start a business doing just that. After finding out that there were a few neighboring neighborhoods next to my apartment who had children with disabilities and a lack of activities for them, I decided to turn the small building that I had leased into sort of a daycare center for the children. I had heard that a lot of the parents had to quit their jobs and stay at home to care for children because a lot of home care aides in the city prefer to work with the elderly and not children. With my office space, I made it disabled accessible so that any children with wheelchairs wouldn't have to feel uncomfortable with getting into the building or around in the building. Because of lack of funds and resources, it started off really small and simple, but grew into something today that I am very proud of. Word started getting around about how a place opened up to provide a center for children with disabilities to be while their parents were able to go back to work again. We provided meals, activities, and a lot of different activity rooms. When organizations started investing in the center, I was able to turn a room into a library and was even able to hire licensed therapists to welcome onto the staff. Hiring the therapist definitely helped to boost the business because with them on staff, it made my center seem more legit to people who hadn't been sure what to think about my business. I remember one day I was having a conversation with my dad, and I finally told him that I had my own business after he made a rude remark about if I was unemployed. He laughs about it, passes my mom the phone, and tells me to tell her what I just told him. When I repeated that I had my own business, she also laughs and calls me ridiculous. After that, I didn't speak to them for a while because I didn't like the way that they had disrespected me. They made it seem that since I didn't take part in working within the family business, that I would fail out here on my own. My mom even accused me of being on drugs or having a drinking problem, that I was just hallucinating and making up having my own business. I put all my focus into the business and got to the point where I was actually able to expand. There was this old abandoned building next to the business that people said was haunted and no one would lease or buy, despite the low asking price. I decided to buy the building so that I could use it to expand the center, creating larger space so that I could do more and add more. There had been suggestions from the staff that we could use a larger cafeteria since the centers was pretty small, and with the purchase of the building, I'll be able to expand the cafeteria. Because I had bought the building that everyone shunned, it caused a lot of attention and put me in the newspaper with me being able to give a tour of the center to the person interviewing me and being able to explain my plans for the new building purchases. My siblings back home in Nebraska followed me on social media, and once I had a post about me being featured on the front of the newspaper, they showed my parents and they pretty much regretted everything they had said to me. Because even with their printing company, they never made the front of the newspaper, and it took them 20 years for them to be featured in a small corner of a newspaper on like page 4. All of a sudden, I am worthy of a phone call from them, as they seem to forget what they had said to me 6 months ago when they placed that phone call. They congratulated me and said how it was amazing that I was on the first page of a newspaper, basically saying things to me that they should not have taken all of my life to finally say. They then get to the point of the phone call, which was asking me if I could promote their printing company on my social media, since they saw that I had a couple of 100,000 followers. I burst out laughing because I couldn't believe that they wanted their failure of a son, who they badmouthed all the time to my siblings, to give them free press on my social media when they practically disowned me when I left Nebraska. My mom started crying, and my dad called me disrespectful and hung up on me. AITA for laughing at my parents instead of jumping at the chance to help them? It's been a month and my parents still aren't speaking to me. LOL. I think it's hilarious after everything that they've put me through. Do you know that my dad actually has my name on his phone as failure? And then thought about telling me that I was a sorry excuse of a firstborn. I'll just be quick to help them out when they refused to send me money when I had moved out of state. My family's pretty divided on it, with my maternal grandparents taking my side and my paternal grandparents telling me that becoming an adult doesn't mean that I get to disrespect my family. Of course, my siblings are on my side and find the entire thing childish on my parents' part. I haven't reached out to them because I don't believe that I am even in the wrong. I decided to choose freedom with living my life because if I had worked at my parents' company, they would have controlled my life, pretty much how they do my brother now. They force him to have 9 p.m. curfew because he needs all of his sleep for energy to work long-hour shifts the next day. He isn't allowed to really see his friends, and he can barely see the girl he's dating now. There was no way that I was going to let my parents treat me like a child when I am in my 30s, and I'm glad I made the decisions that I did to get away once I had become legal and had graduated high school. A month after my last update, and my parents are currently trying to get on my good side. I guess they had let it slip to some of their friends about me being on the newspaper, and in turn, they started spreading it around. Because my parents have always painted this false light of our family being so close, they were invited to take part in this family blog about how family members are able to be business owners and also contribute to a healthy family. The blogger wants me to come to Nebraska to take part in it since they found out about the success of my company. As much as I want to stand my ground and teach my parents a lesson in understanding that they shouldn't be nice to me just so they can use me for their own personal gain, a part of me wants to mend fences and end this family feud. I have until the weekend to decide if I am going to get on a plane and fly home to be part of this family blog. I should have just gone with my gut and stayed home in California. I have my flight booked a lot earlier than planned for me to head back to California tomorrow, and It's going to be a long time before I ever come back to my family's home. 2 days ago was the big family blog piece that I was nice enough to take part in. During the family interview, my dad couldn't even keep it together to fake saying nice things about me. When the interviewer praised me for starting my own business, he in return made a snide comment about how I literally abandoned my family to become successful. And then my mom chimes in with how it's unfortunate that I don't really keep in touch with my siblings as much, making it seem as if I just abandoned my entire family and became stuck up when becoming an entrepreneur. So I decided to set the record straight and spoke about how happy I am and how I could never be happy when living under my parents' roof. I gave examples of how my dad pretty much forbids us to have friends and how I was never able to be a child while I was a child. The blogger ends the interview after becoming disgusted by my parents, and now I'm the son who apparently hates his parents, according to my mom and dad. Oh well, I tried to play nice, and they ruined it when they decided to be rude during the interview. Dude, NTA. No way are you, especially with how your parents treated you. Your family is devoid of love, and not tough love at all. Wow, that's amazing about your company. That's really nice that you decided to create a business to help disabled kids, and shame on your parents for not being happy for you. I, female 29, and my husband, male 32, are currently saving for our first house. We have 3 kids, female 5, male 3, male 1, and I want at least a 3 bedroom, one for us, 2 to share amongst the 3 kids, and 2 bathrooms. My husband recently informed me that my mother-in-law is considering divorcing my father-in-law. My husband wants to change our house plan to include my mother-in-law moving in with us. We talked about what that would mean. And ultimately, I decided I really don't want to do that, and it's caused a problem in our marriage. The reason why I decided against it is mainly because my mother in law would be taking full custody of her 10-year-old daughter, husband's half sister, and we would also have to take mother in law's mom, husband's grandmother. Mother in law is fine, but her daughter causes so much trouble and chaos. Many of husband's aunts and cousins never visit anymore and told me it's because of the problem this girl causes with the other kids in the family her age. And I don't like her being around my children as well. Mother-in-law's mom is also elderly and needs full-time care, which I can't provide since I work and have 3 kids to take care of. I told my husband if this is what he wants, he can contribute more towards our savings and we can get a property with a back house for mother-in-law, her daughter, and mother-in-law's mother. Husband doesn't want to contribute more money and instead suggested we keep our original plan, but keep 1 room for us and the kids, 1 room for mother-in-law's mother, and 1 room for mother-in-law and her daughter. I said absolutely not, because the whole purpose of getting our own home was to have our own room and our kids have their own room. We went back and forth, but my suggestions don't work for him, and his suggestions don't work for me. In the end, I suggested mother-in-law and mother-in-law's mother move in with someone else, and my husband is upset that I suggested this. Mother-in-law's sister has a huge 5-bedroom home in a nice area, 10 minutes away, and only lives with her husband and adult son. My husband also has a younger brother, mother-in-law's favorite child, who currently has a big 3-bedroom home with 2 living rooms and only lives with his wife and 1 daughter, female 5. Brother-in-law also has more money saved up than we do and wants to upgrade to an even bigger home. I think these are both better options for mother-in-law and mother-in-law's mother than my husband and I can possibly provide. But my husband hasn't been speaking to me lately because of this. AITA for not wanting to compromise our plan for our first home in order to accommodate family? Side note, Mother-in-law has never had a job and doesn't plan on getting one, so we wouldn't be charging rent for anyone and would also have to pay for everyone's living expenses. The living situation would also be permanent since mother-in-law doesn't make money and therefore can't eventually move out. My husband and I also make the least amount of money in the family at a combined income of 50 to 60,000 a year. NTA, this is the hill that marriages die on. You can't afford to house 3 more people and with 2 other siblings who can. Your husband is being stubbornly foolish. While I think mother-in-law might get child support and alimony, which she can use to pay rent, expenses, it's still too much of an ask, especially when you need space for your family. Added to that, mother-in-law's mom needs care, and that sister-in-law has behavioral issues, well, your family comes first, and DH needs to respect your decision. Your husband's suggestion is so far out of line. I don't even know where to begin. Would your mother-in-law, her badly behaved daughter, and her elderly mother even want to live in a 3-bedroom with you? But that's irrelevant because it would be a horrible situation for you. Why would you want to fund that chaos? Your husband is being totally unreasonable and should at least talk to the family about all the options. NTA. I, 17 female, have a weird family situation. My parents split up when I was 4 after my older brother died. He had always been really ill. They both remarried and have stepkids and other kids. I've been bounced around a lot and I don't really feel at home in either place, to be honest. My mom and her side are mad at me because I won't call my stepfather dad, and I keep to myself because there are just too many kids in that house. My dad's side are mad at me because they're super religious and I won't play ball with the churchy stuff. I just don't fit in either place, and I try to stay busy out of the house with school and work. I thought about running away a couple of years ago because of reasons, but also I'm either gay or bi, I'm not sure yet, and either way, it's not going to be good when I come out. I got everything together, but my friend talked me out of it. I decided to stick it out till graduation, but it gave me the idea of having emergency kits for if something goes wrong and I have to leave quickly. Also, I have a plan and stuff prepared so I can just pick up and leave the day after graduation. I keep all my personal stuff hidden, like I have a phone the parents know about, but I got another one and repaired a junk laptop that I use for my real personal stuff. It's a lot to keep up with sometimes, but it's a habit now and it means I get some privacy. The problem is that my stepbrother was snooping in my room while I was gone and found one of my emergency kits and told my dad, who got worried that I'm up to no good and gave me the 3rd degree and got my mom involved too. I told them I'm just trying to be prepared if there's an emergency, but they went through all my stuff and found a few things I had written about wanting to leave, and it's become a big family issue with other relatives supporting or attacking my parents, and my parents fighting again. They, fortunately, haven't found the really important stuff, but they know there's more that I'm keeping hidden. My parents and some family think I'm ungrateful and a mean AH for being so secretive and having a plan to leave everyone. Other family think my parents are getting what they sowed and don't blame me. Okay, I finally got a chance to be alone for a little bit so I can update. I'm going to take the advice and get out because now I'm scared something bad is going to happen for real. Some family said I could come stay with them if I need to, so I'm going there in the morning when I can slip out, and they said they're going to file a report or something, so I don't have to go back to my parents, hopefully, and the cops will look into it. I should be safe there, but my parents are going to lose their minds, so hopefully the cops don't make me go back home. Finally back. I'm out and with my aunt and uncle, and it's been a day, but the cops said I can stay here. And my aunt said I can stay as long as I need to. My aunt is keeping the rest of the family away, and my dad has already tried to come over, and the cops had to talk to him and tell him to leave. I'm really tired, and I don't know how this week is going to go. But my aunt said they would handle the grown up stuff, and I don't have to talk to anyone that I don't want to until I'm ready. Thank you for the advice and the encouragement. I'm okay for now, I think. NTA, their actions when they found this just prove why you need to prepare to leave. Normal, loving parents would have asked you what they could do to make you happier. Maybe keep your stuff at a trusted friend or rent a small storage locker and make sure they don't find out about it or find the key. NTA, if there's a safe place you can keep the important paperwork, I'd move it out of the house before they find it and confiscate it all. Due to your age, I'm not sure if you can get a safety deposit box on your own or if you'd need a parent's signature as you're not 18 yet. Don't write anything down about your plans and make sure you eradicate all that evidence as they have no qualms about snooping through your room.